To convert units of measure, we're going to use these rules that are listed up here, the ones we've been using in class. Larger to smaller multiply, smaller to larger divide. Some of these examples are filled in from what we had worked on Friday. But if we go ahead and take a look at this next problem over here. 14 cups equals blank pints. First thing we need to decide is what's the larger unit of measure, cups or pints. If we're in doubt, we can check the conversion chart that you have, and you would see that it takes 2 cups to equal a pint, so pints are the larger unit of measure. So we're going from a smaller unit of measure to a larger unit of measure. Smaller to larger means we have to divide. We're going to divide the 14 cups by the number of cups in a pint. And again, if we need to, we check our table to see how many cups are in a pint, and as we said, that was 2. So we will divide 14 divided by 2, which gives us 7. If we look at this one here, 500 milliliters equals blank metric cups. If we're converting from milliliters to metric cups, we have to figure out which one's larger. Metric cups are larger than milliliters, so we're again converting from a smaller unit of measure to a larger unit of measure. By rule up here, that means we are going to divide. We divide 500 by, if we look at our chart, there are 250 milliliters in a metric cup, so we're going to divide by 250. 500 divided by 250 would be 2. If we have one down here, we're converting ounces into pounds. We have 144 ounces equals blank pounds. Since pounds are the larger unit of measure, we're converting smaller to larger. Smaller to larger means we have to divide 144 by the number of ounces in a pound. There are 16 ounces in a pound, so we will divide 144 divided by 16. If we're converting 6,000 millimeters into meters, we have to know that meters are larger than millimeters. Smaller to larger means we are dividing. So we are going to divide 6,000 by the number of millimeters in a meter, which is 1,000. 6,000 divided by 1,000 would be 6. If we get to some other examples, we have 5 gallons. We'll do this one next, 5 gallons into pints. If we're converting gallons into pints, that's a larger unit of measure to a smaller unit of measure. Larger to smaller would be multiply. We're multiplying 5 gallons times the number of pints in a gallon. When we look at our table, when we look at this table, we are looking for the number of pints in a gallon, which the table does not tell us exactly how many pints are in a gallon, but it tells us that there are 2 pints in a quart here, and there are 4 quarts in a gallon here. So if there are 2 pints in every quart and 4 quarts in every gallon, 2 times 4 is 8. That would give us the number of pints in a gallon. So we're going to multiply 5 times 8, which would give us 40 pints. Another one along those same lines, we're going from pints to fluid ounces. Pints are larger than fluid ounces, so we're converting a larger unit of measure to a smaller unit of measure. Larger to smaller means we're multiplying. When we look back at that chart, we know that there are 8 fluid ounces in a cup, and there are 2 cups in a pint, but we don't know how many fluid ounces are in a pint without doing a little bit of converting. Well, since there are 8 fluid ounces in a cup and 2 fluid ounces in a pint, 8 times 2 would give us 16 as the number of fluid ounces in a pint. So we will multiply 2 times 16 to give us 32 fluid ounces in 2 pints. If we go back to this one and we're doing 15 pints and we're converting them into quarts. Pints to quarts would be a smaller unit of measure to a larger unit of measure because quarts are larger. And we're dividing 15 by 2, the number of pints in a quart. Well, 2 does not go into 15 evenly, so we have 2 choices. We can either divide and take the remainder 1 and put it over the divisor 2 to get a mixed number, 7 1/2 quarts. Or we could add a decimal and 0 in the dividend, bring that 0 down and divide 2 into 10, which is 5, and get 7 5/10 quarts, which means the same thing. Now when we get into these comparing problems, we either are going to convert the quarts into gallons or we're going to convert the gallons into quarts. If we take the 9 gallons and convert them into quarts, we're going from a larger unit of measure to a smaller unit of measure. Larger to smaller would mean to multiply. So we're going to multiply 9 times the number of quarts in a gallon, which is 4. 9 times 4 would give us 36. So we know these 9 gallons means the same thing as 36 quarts. So if we're comparing now, we're comparing 31 quarts to 36 quarts. And 31 quarts would be less than 36 quarts. If we're comparing the next problem, 750 millimeters to 80 centimeters. So if we take the 80 centimeters, and again, we can either change the millimeters into centimeters or the centimeters into millimeters. I'm going to change the centimeters into millimeters. To go from centimeters to millimeters, I'm going from a larger unit of measure to a smaller unit of measure. So that means I'm going to be multiplying 80 times the number of millimeters in a centimeter, which is 10. 80 times 10 would give me 800. So I'm now comparing 750 millimeters to 800 millimeters. And 750 millimeters would be less than 800 millimeters.